It's the match preview. Today we're going to be discussing the little matter of Middlesbrough coming to Kenilworth Road this Saturday, 3 o'clock. And I'm excited, but I'm not as excited as my co-host. It's Mark Ryman. How are we getting on, Mark?
Yeah, excited, but it's also the hope that kills you, right? There was some kind of solace this time last week where I'd accepted our fate, and then Luton go and be bloody Luton. And now I'm all nervous, anxious, and terrified and looking at the fixtures again. It's disgraceful. But yeah, well, exciting
Luton
times.
beat Cardiff, but, you know, I'm not blaming you for confusing Luton with Cardiff because Cardiff were absolutely atrocious.
I said Luton are being Luton, not beating Luton.
I was like, Luton are beating Luton.
Well, we do tend to do that as well. Yeah, we try our best to do that too.
Yeah.
No, we just classic Luton, right? They're gonna keep me almost having a heart attack until the final day of the season. It's almost guaranteed now.
Yeah, well, at least we could enjoy the win for about 24 hours until like everyone around us decided to win.
Yeah, of course, exactly. We spared on everybody, but the one saving grace of that, I suppose, is that it does for me bring another team in it in Oxford. Actually, we'll talk about this later maybe, but they have by far and away the worst running out of any of the teams down there. They've still got to play Sunderland, Leeds. I'm pretty sure they've got to play Sheffield United as well. They've got a tough fixture. So there's one positive there. It looks a lot rosier the table, even if it doesn't in terms of position.
Very much so. I hope they do get dragged into it. But now it's time to recap that win. It's Cardiff 1, Luton Town 2. So we actually won a game away from home. And the first half was the definition of attrition, wasn't it? But then the second half was a little bit better, wasn't it?
Oh, loads better. But then it was a very, very low bar. I don't often watch a game of football and think I could probably find a pass better, but I was watching that thinking even a couple of pints in, I reckon I can do better than the passing range of both teams. Yeah, terrible. Second half started pretty poorly as well, really. It's only their goal that suddenly sparked everybody into life, right? And so much better. There's load of positives to come from it. You know, the negatives of the first half, and we can't afford to be that wasteful with possession. We know that against teams like Boro. But positives, Millie Ali has got to get in the team. He was amazing when he came on, made the difference for me. He really did. Started running at players, caused all sorts of problems as well. I think Jacob Brown's been unlucky not to start. For me, he's the one who looks the most goal threat up front. No, again, it's a pretty low bar. But I thought all of those substitutes were brilliant. And yeah, obviously a word for Jordan Clark, scoring absolute belter. He's always got one in him, hasn't he? He's always got one in him. But that was special. That really was special. A bit over the top for Horvath. He probably could have just kicked it straight at him and it's still gone in. But all right, fine. Excellent strike. I couldn't believe it when we scored the second one. And despite the fact we never really looked in trouble, I was having kittens watching the last 10, 15 minutes. I don't know about you.
Yeah, naturally, you always think you're gonna chuck it away. Like, that's what we've grown accustomed to this season. You know, you can never feel secure. Like in the 23-24 season, 22-23 season, and also the 21-22 season, we knew we had something about us defensively. We knew people could launch attacks at us, and we'd pretty much be able to repel them and, well, essentially not suck the ball into our own net. Whereas now, it's like that meme of the back door that's sort of locked with the "what's it" across there. And it's just so easy to penetrate our back line. It's no joke. I was worried. But that Clark goal was wonderful. And I said it in the group as well. I don't know, in our little OK Football group, I said Horvath saves 2.3 goals per game. Well,
You did.
2.3 makes 2.3 saves per game. I said, if we get 3 shots on target, that third shot is going in. Boom. I was right.
Yeah, it did.
And then the
Absolutely.
fourth went in as well.
And the fourth. Well, that's it. That's him done for the day, isn't it? As we
Yeah,
know.
yeah, yeah.
I was hoping we'd get a
Contractually
penalty.
obliged. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I was praying we'd get a penalty because Kaminsky could have stepped up and probably scored it. But anyway, we did it. And it wasn't really nerve. A neutral wouldn't be watching those last 15 minutes and thinking anything really in terms of nerves. I actually think we managed the game really well. Genuinely did. I think Jacob Brown and taking the ball out from the back. Bowler did it a couple of times, although I did have my heart in my mouth once with Bowler trying to take on too many, in our own half. I'm just thinking, yeah, that's great, but if they win it back. But no, he was brilliant as well. Obviously massive part in the second goal too. So yeah, much better game management, much more confidence, and it's those players that I said before the game that I want to see more of, and I definitely want to see more of as we'll get to team news and in the next game as well, because they're playing with a confidence that we haven't seen all season. And
it was definitely the January signings. It was 100%. The January signings that made the difference. And in all fairness, if Bloomfield has anything about him, has any balls, he'll play those signings.
Yeah, I agree. It's going to be a big test of that, isn't it? On Saturday, on where he goes. Carlton Morris limping about towards the end maybe gives him a bit of an excuse for at least one of them.
Yeah. It was good to see Reece Burke come back in for at least 5 minutes. I was really worried because I think I said it in the group when Reece Burke came on. Oh, God, we're just going to sit on the edge of our own 6-yard box now, aren't we? But fortunately, we did enough.
Yeah, and it's like the lunar eclipse, isn't it? When Luton have defensive options, you make the most of it when it comes round. It's like, what is it? Once, twice a year or something. So, yeah, let's enjoy it. Let's enjoy having those options.
Yeah, but anyway, let's have a look ahead to the team news for Luton ahead of the game against Middlesbrough this Saturday. This week on Shandon Baptiste Watch, he's now behind Reece Burke because Reece Burke played 5 minutes in the game. Joining Shandon Baptiste on the sidelines in the Shandon Baptiste Memorial Physiotherapy Room, it's Marvellous Nakamba, Tahith Chong, Ted Mengi, and Tom Lockyer. All long-term absentees now. Quite a good clean bill of health, and I suppose we'll find out from Bloomfield who's around, who's available, but it's a case of, does Bloomfield have the balls to do what needs to be done?
Yes, good question. And also, it's a third game in a 3-game week, and I don't want to put the downers on it, but I know, we all know, people watching this, Luton fans will know how we generally perform in those games. We need to make changes for lots of reasons. That's one of them. I think that there's a lot of players that could be see their place in jeopardy, and I include Alfie Doughty in that, and that might sound slightly controversial, but I think he had an absolute stinker. And as I mentioned, Ali came in and really performed in a different system, admittedly. We know he's more of a winger than a wing-back, certainly, Ali. But I think his performance was too good to ignore, and Alfie Doughty's was too poor to ignore as well, from dead balls as well as open play. We all rate Alfie Doughty. We know how good he can be, but that mentality within that group is not right. It hasn't been right all season. We need to stop flogging this idea that somehow it's going to come good. We're 9 games away from the end of the season. We need to just play the players that are in form and give us confidence, and a system that works as well. And for me, that might possibly involve 4 at the back. But again, lots of questions. He tends to finish the game that way. Whether he has the confidence to start it, especially with our defensive options, is another matter, right?
You can always change the team around, though. If you were, for instance, playing like Reece Burke, you could play him at right back. You play Cal Naismith left centre back, and Mark McGuinness right centre back, and then you have the option to move Cal to left back as well if you want to. I guess he's going to play Amari Bell, isn't he? I don't think it was Amari Bell's best game. People have said, yeah, it was. And I guess we're not blessed with left backs, are we?
No.
But you can always modify it, can't you? Like you can have one of the. It's sort of what Middlesbrough do. You can have the right back bomb on. Everyone shifts across to become a three at the back. Like footballers should be intelligent enough to be able to play a fluid system where a 4-3-3 becomes a 5-3-2.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you in principle. The problem is 9 games away from the end of the season. Do we start tinkering with it, or do we just keep it simple? We've gone through these iterations throughout the season. I'd also say you've forgotten the first name on the team sheet in the centre of defence, and that's neither of the people you mentioned. It's Chris
Makoso.
There's no way that man is getting dropped for me.
3 games,
incredible.
games, and he's
incredible.
First name.
Yeah, for me, absolutely. I mean, everyone had a nervy start, but he just his control on the ball, his composure on the ball. We got ourselves in the right turd at some points in that game at the back, where I thought they are absolutely getting through here. And to be fair, Bell was definitely responsible for one of those. As he tends to have. Ball. Yeah. But so many times, Makoso was there to mop up, get the ball, take it out calmly, and choose a pass. For me, he has to start. So yeah, it is a headache regardless. Even if we play 3 at the back, that's still a defensive headache, but it's a nice one to have, isn't it? You've got to surely go, if you can put Clark in there, if you can put Walsh in there, if you can put Asgard in there, do you change it? It's difficult. I think all 3 of them had a decent game. Obviously, Clark scored that goal. Walsh had a decent shot in the first half as well, and we know that he's got the ability to spray it, and we've said already he's one of the most improved players. But if not, then maybe start Zach Nelson. I think he's done nothing wrong at all. Maybe for Clark, who's clearly carrying an injury, he's talked about it already, and although he scored that amazing goal, 3 games in a week, he's the oldest one of those lot, the less likely to. And then please change the strikers, please. If Morris and Adebayo haven't proven already that they are not up to it, whatever the reason is this season already, then I don't know when. Morris for me was nowhere near it, absolutely nowhere near it. Responsible really for at least the build up for the first goal. There was quite a lot of phases of play between then, but what was he doing trying to shield that ball out that was not going anywhere? And Elijah got himself into a decent position a couple of times, and then he just no composure whatsoever. You just don't trust him there. Whereas Jacob Brown, I think, gets in those positions, he scores, or at least troubles a goalkeeper. Yeah, please change those up.
Yeah, those two, they played so well together. Like the season we got promoted, then in the Premier League we sort of stopped playing with them together. They only played a handful of games together in this adapted 3-4-3 system, and they look like they've forgotten how to play together, which is just absolutely shocking. They were getting flick-ons when they were winning their headers, flicking it on to no one because the other one was pulled out to the wing. It was painful and embarrassing to watch, but hey-ho, that's... It is what it is, and we'll see, as I said, if Bloomfield has the balls to hook Morris, the current captain. I don't think he will, but I think he has to, regardless of whatever Middlesbrough's mishaps are at the back. But let's hear from the opposition now. So I met with Jonny Gascoigne from BoroBreakdown, and here he is. Whoa, clothes change. It's me, Ollie, and I'm talking to Jonny from the BoroBreakdown podcast. So take it away, Jonny. So, as promised, we have Jonny here from the BoroBreakdown. Right, Jonny, how you doing, mate? And do you want to introduce yourself and your channel? As Phil says, get some free publicity.
Yes, no worries, Ollie. Thank you, firstly, for having me back on again. And then on top of that as well, so the BoroBreakdown, Boro podcast, you can find us pretty much everywhere on social media, on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and on your every podcast provider that pretty much is. So, and you can subscribe to us on YouTube if you want to watch the game. Well, our thoughts after the game on a Sunday as well, where we'll review the game and probably cry because Boro's form has just been down the pan for the most part since January. So yeah, it hasn't been very very positive probably over the last few weeks. But I mean, you guys could probably say the same throughout the whole season, to be honest, which is not ideal.
My response to that, woe is me, we're only 8th in the league. We're only 3 points off the... Let me check. We're only 3 points off the playoffs. Oh, cry me a river, Jonny. Yeah, I want to talk about essentially what's happened since that 5-1 demolition where Luton Town didn't even turn up. So you say the form has sort of dropped. And yes, there was the period over January where you were seemingly losing every game. What do you think has changed?
Yeah, a lot's probably changed, to be honest. Obviously, we've naturally sold players. Lath's gone to the MLS now for club record fee.
Great fee.
Yeah,
Great fee.
great fee for Manu. And, we're at a club that really has to reinvest as much as we possibly can and really recruit well. And then on top of that as well, we sold Isaiah Jones to yourselves, which we thought was a great move all around because Isaiah just felt like his time at Middlesbrough just started to go a little bit stale and could get back into the team. But in terms of the form and how things have changed, really bad injuries. So we haven't got a fit centre back at the moment, and we're playing El Borges, who's a left back centre half, with Jonny Howson last night, which wasn't really weird. It was quite weird, but yeah, probably accumulation of injuries, people coming in, new players getting blooded into the team as well. But tactically, we probably could have been a lot better, and not being able to see games out. We're pretty much near the top for being in a winning position and then going on to lose the game. So there is a lot of that mental aspect of it as well. So probably just accumulation of selling players not bedding in, poor form, and pretty much throwing games away. Example could be Sheffield Wednesday, 2-0 up at half time, cruising, and then had I think it was 3-0 up, and then 3-0 up, and then had man sent off. They came up to 3-3 and we nearly lost it. And ever since that game, it's just been pretty much downhill from there.
So a big part of what I remember, what seared into my brain from the last time we met, was Ben Doak. And I noticed he's been missing for the past couple of games. Is he injured? Will he be back for this game?
No, he's out for the season. Ben. Injury to his thigh, and hasn't came back since. So, and look, you naturally lose that quality, don't you? So we had players, obviously, when you're looking at Emmanuel Lath and Ben Doak, both really big contributors to how Boro were going forward. Now they're both gone now, so it's a bit different and not as fluid as what it was. But Boro will still create chances. But yeah, Ben's injured now. We probably won't see him until the end of the season, or ever see him probably in a Boro shirt again.
Do you think a lot of Boro fans are kind of ruining the fact that we sold that Luton Town bought Isaiah Jones, because with Ben Doak was keeping Isaiah Jones out of the team? Would you take an Isaiah Jones right now?
No, probably not. I think Isaiah he had to move on, essentially. Isaiah, it just wasn't working out for him anymore. His form was really poor as well, and it was very much a case of 1 every 10 games you would see a really good performance. And that's probably not good enough. And I think for what you guys aim for your start of the season to get back up again, you want players to be really consistent. And unfortunately, Isaiah just wasn't at that level that we need him to be. And look, a lot's happened in Isaiah's personal life. A lot of things have happened that's affected his on pitch. And I think being closer to home in Luton is probably ideal. So he's with his family a lot more, because he's been living up north for about a few seasons now, 5, 6, 7 seasons. So yeah, I think for him to go back has been a really good move for him and his family. But we've got Marcus Forster, who actually kept his eye out the team as well prior to Ben Doak arriving. So Forster's came back now, playing on that right hand side, and is still making a positive difference. But you've got to manage his minutes, because he was out for a long period of time as well.
We've got to talk about Finn Azad's, because you signed him from Plymouth, and he's been an absolute revelation. I think 11 goals, 10 assists this season. Is the secret to keeping Boro quiet by going in hard on Finazaz?
You know what? He's been bang out of form recently as well, which is quite hilarious. He's been in a position where throughout January since we didn't have an alternative, he played a lot of minutes and we couldn't really rest him in a really busy period. And when he wasn't really playing as well, Boro weren't taking as much, and on top of that, you're taking out the players around him who have moved on. It hasn't really been beneficial, but yeah, I think naturally you would look at Finn Azaz on that left-hand side and say a very creative player, and he does create chances. Another assist last night, but there's still different layers to Boro's attack, I would say. Tommy Conway is very, very good in the channels and great in the box. Marcus Force, again, is still really positive on that right-hand side. Morgan Whittaker hasn't really shown anything just yet, and, that's a bit of an issue, but creativity-wise, it's probably for the first time since Carrick's been in that it hasn't really been as exciting. But I think there's one player I would definitely say keep an eye on and watch is probably Delano Bergzorg, who ran the show in the last game against us. He's been excellent this year, a really good addition for us. Creative, likes to strive forward with the ball. Him and Hayden Hackney from like a deeper position in midfield. Two really good outlets for Boro to create something. So I think that's how I would look at Middlesbrough from an offensive standpoint. Try and, if you're quiet Finn Azaz out, probably Delano Bergzog's the player that you want to get rid of probably in the early stages, I would say.
Yeah, Bergzog, he also did really well in that 5-1 win as well in the return fixture. Two players that really have impressed me in central midfield, Riley McGree and Hayden Hackney. I know McGree, I think he's out for this game, or is he out for the season as well?
Pretty much, yeah. We haven't seen him most of the season. He's just been injured throughout, and it's just been really bad timing for him, to be honest. He's just had injury after injury after injury, very similar to Marcus Force. We're having a lot of Achilles injuries at the moment, which is a bit strange. But could it be the boots? Could it be how they train? It could be a lot of different things.
Could be sprints.
Yeah, so there's just so much that goes into it. But Hayden Hackney, yeah, fantastic. What a great talent. Off the ball could be a lot better, but when he's on the ball, fantastic. Really good at driving Boro forward. Got good strike in him as well, adding more goals to his game. And he's creative, really creative. He helps thread the ball through in really tight areas and helps us tick. And I think he's a really good outlet for the game on Saturday. I think it's going to be really tight. I think it's going to be really tense. And Boro are quite fragile at the moment, so it's a fantastic opportunity for Luton to get a result.
Yeah, and it would be remiss of me, before we talk about the game, I have two more questions. Firstly, about Kelechi Iheanacho. So Latte Laugh has gone. Has Kelechi stepped into the void that's been left by Latte Laugh?
Nowhere near. Absolutely nowhere near. Completely different profile. Player who, for me, looks great when you're winning, but looks horrendous when you're losing. Not exactly what you want. He's definitely a player that you don't want on the pitch when you are losing the game. And you can tell that he hasn't played many minutes. Like at Sevilla, I think he played a few Copa del Rey games. He's a bit overweight, to be honest. I think he looks a bit too heavy, and just isn't really up to speed. He's interesting in the actual because he can bring a ball down from like 50 feet in the air, come to him, traps it dead. Great touch, really good into play. You think, yeah, quite a canny player, but it's like off the ball stuff where you just think, wow, like we need someone a lot better than that. So it is just a massive contrast difference. But look, Tommy Conway on the other side of things, what a fantastic signing he's been for us. Really good in the channels, really good in the box. Finishing could be a little bit better, but for the most part, 11 goals. He has a better goal ratio than what Emmanuel Latte had. So, yeah, I'm happy with Tommy Conway, but Kelechi, not so much. I feel like it kind of feels like a bit of a panic buy in the end.
It's a funny one about Iheanacho. So we do a championship show, which I'll put in the description below. So I have to watch all the highlights or as much content as I can from championship stuff. And I think it was, I'm trying to think of what game it was. I think it was the Swansea game when you were trying to get back into the game. And I was watching Iheanacho run with the ball. And you say he looks overweight. I thought he looked half cut when he was charging forward with the ball. He's staggering, like he has a staggering run. He doesn't look at it. He really doesn't.
No, he doesn't really. He just doesn't look like he's played much football at all, and you can just see it, can't you? When you've always done it, right? When you're playing 5-side or something, we haven't played in a few weeks. That pass is just so loose. Your touch is horrendous, and it's pretty much that, but at a much higher level, and it's not ideal, and it hasn't really worked for him. But he seems to have fit around the group quite well. But that's great. But on the pitch, like we need a lot more, and albeit he played quite well last night, but realistically, we need a lot more quality and someone who's a bit more agile and helping Boro without the ball, because without it, I just don't think he's good enough.
Yeah, well, hopefully that poor form continues until Saturday, and it would be remiss of me to not discuss the return of the prodigal son. Ryan Giles is back at Middlesbrough. He agitated, and he finally got that move back to be reunited with Michael Carrick. How has he fitted in?
Hasn't played. I feel like you enjoy that. He hasn't really played, to be honest.
So you have Illing Jr., a left midfielder playing at left back. You have Borges, a left back playing at centre back. And Ryan Giles still can't get a game.
Yeah, look, Giles, it's similar when we brought Giles back. He hasn't played many games either. And it was like, well, Giles isn't fit. And then you've got, well, Illing Jr., to be fair, played as a wing back for Juventus, so he can play that system or build up in a back three. So he pushes on a little bit further, so it works for him.
You have Dyke still tucking in.
Yeah, and obviously he'll flip on the other side. So yeah, it just hasn't really played. He got he got rinsed a little bit in the last game against Swansea, but when Boro brought Ryan Giles in, we know for a fact that defensively he's not good enough. We said to a lot of people when you bought him, we're like, look, guys, he's good going forward, but defensively it's a bit suspect. And Boro relied on him quite a lot in that first season under Carrick. And you know what? He was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. He made everything tick on the left-hand side. Archer and Akpom were fantastic with him. And it just feels just different. He just looks a different player than what he was maybe a couple of seasons ago, where a couple of seasons ago he was really positive, really confident, loved to get the ball at his feet. Now it's a lot more safe. He's not willing to do as much as what he used to. But yeah, it just hasn't really played.
We ruined him. We broke him.
Yeah, I probably Hull did that as well, to be honest. But it's look, he was never ready for the Premier League move. But you can't blame him for taking it. Do you know what I mean? Like, he's getting a lot more money, being a Premier League footballer. Like, you're not going to stick around with a Championship team that had to like get rid of pretty much every single player that we had in the season after. So yeah, I don't envy him, but he's back now. Will we sign him on a permanent? I don't think we will, unless we get a really good like bargain of a fee for it. Which, I mean, given the current position of the Championship, Hull's position, you never know. You might get him for like 500 to 500k to $1 million. You go, oh well, actually, yeah, you get Ryan Giles back. But there's a player that we've got as a left back in Alex Bangura, who hasn't played for about a year and a half, but he looks fantastic. But he's had back-to-back Achilles injuries, and that's just a killer, isn't it, for any footballer? So yeah, we'll see how he ends up. But yeah, just hasn't played, which I feel like a lot of Luton fans and Hull fans who may be listening will find really funny and happy. So
it's
at least
quite
Giles
funny.
Is happy to be back. Yeah,
it is quite funny because he only ever wanted to go back to Boro to be reunited with Carrick. And while we're on Carrick, do you think Michael Carrick will be Boro manager next season? Because he's been getting a lot of pressure from the fans.
Yeah, like I think naturally you get a lot of pressure, don't you? I think from where Boro were, they were fifth, and you're thinking nailed on playoffs, and they should have been a lot better. And I know it's like you're down the bottom towards the bottom. You're thinking, yeah, we could be getting relegated, so kind of shut up. But we should have been a lot more comfortable. We've still threw games away. And then you know how football is, man. Like, if you lose 5 or 6 or 7 out of 10, you're going to be in trouble regardless, aren't you? Regardless how much you have in the bank, you're going to have some issues. And Middlesbrough's ambition this year, from what we've heard, was trying in for top 2. That hadn't happened. It had to be readjusted to top 6. And if you don't get top 6, it's a bit of a failure, to be honest, for Boro, because he's been in charge for 3 years now. He's got a settled squad. The squad is still good enough are good to be in and around from 6th to about 9th, 10th. So we're kind of where we should be. I feel like he's been let down a little bit from recruitment standpoint in January. So just layering all that on top, I think fans are frustrated with him right now. Will we make a change? I'm not too sure. I think he's got the confidence to manage us to the end of the season, and then I think a decision will be made from there. And I'm really intrigued to see who we'd go for if Carrick was to go, to be honest.
Well, I hear Rob Edwards is local, and off camera we were saying, well, you were saying he's, he did a good job, so could always have him.
Yeah. Well, funny enough, when Rob Edwards was just about to get the job at Luton, I actually there's a tweet somewhere where I definitely posted that when Boro sacked Wild, I was like, I think we should either go for Carrick or Rob Edwards. I just thought at the time his stock was quite high when he was at Forest Green. I thought, could be something that might work. Development coach to some aspect. And then we went with Carrick and it went quite well. And then, he did get you up, but then obviously you came back down again. It hasn't worked at all. And yeah, I think you'd be burnt by that slightly. But I think if I'm honest, you've got Danny Rawle there at Sheffield Wednesday, who's, release clause cuts quite significantly in the summer. High profile, good ceiling. Southampton might be after him as well. So there's that. But to be honest, if Boro finish 6th or 7th, maybe you just stick with Carrick for another summer, given the players that he wants, and see how he goes again. But I probably wouldn't have Rob Edwards now, but I wouldn't be shocked because I know Kieran Scott's still a big fan of his. So yeah, we'll see where we end up with that one.
Yeah, to be honest, I think you should stick with Michael Carrick, because from where you were to where he's taken you consistently in or challenging for the playoffs, I think it's very good, especially as all the quality that's dropping down from the Premier League and all the money that's now in the Championship and all the debt that's being accrued in the Championship. I think it's a very challenging league. It really is. But let's turn our attention to Saturday. We do a Predictor League where I will send you the rest of the scores that we want you to predict, and you'll be representing the opposition podcast. It's the Sluga 6. You'll remember Simon Sluga. He's the goalkeeper that was in goal when we played out that blinding 3-3 draw opening day of the Championship season, and he let a ball go straight through him. Yeah, you'll remember that. So for this, we played double points for the Luton Middlesbrough result. So you got to predict that and tell me how you think the game will go.
I think that Luton will win 2-1.
Oh, yes. Keep going. I'm almost there.
I think it is very much that Isaiah Jones will probably score the winner or something and hit the most sweet strike he'll ever hit in his life, and it'll go top bins. I just don't feel confident, to be honest. I can't trust Middlesbrough at all at the moment. They will they've been crap for like the last month and a half. And if we somehow win on the weekend, we've won 4 and 5, and I don't even know how that's possible with us. But yeah, I can see us scoring, but I think Luton will score first. We'll equalise, and then I think we'll throw it away towards the end when there's a bit more pressure, and that'll probably come about the 75th, 80th minute. Probably come from a cross into the box, and Carlton Morris probably head home or something, and we'll be just staring down the barrel again and just wanting the season to end, to be honest. So yeah, I'm going to go 2-1 Luton.
I hope you're right. And I hope the people watching have really got to know Middlesbrough very intimately, thanks to you, Jonny. Really appreciate you coming on. And I hope your scoreline is right.
I hope it's not, but it probably will, given how Boro's position is at the minute. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on.
So there you have it. Jonny predicted Luton 2, Middlesbrough 1. Frankly, I think he's an absolute lunatic. But I'll have what he's having. And I guess we'll see what happens. And I hope you enjoyed that. And I hope you understand a bit more about Middlesbrough now. Although after the 5-1 earlier this season, I'm sure you all know plenty about Middlesbrough already. But this is a new Middlesbrough without Latte Laugh. No Ben Doak. So be loud, be proud, and most importantly, come on, you Hatters. I'll pass it back over to myself and Mark Ryman. Take it away, fellas. Thank you, Ollie. What a job you did. And so handsome you are. Right, Ryman, who is giving you sleepless nights from this Boro team?
Yeah, I mean, they're a good team, aren't they? And they showed it against us in the away leg. I would go with their wide players, although, obviously we're lucky in that they've got quite a long injury list, including Ben Doak, who was their wide player. I think Dyke Steele's a very good player, playing on that right-hand side.
Can't believe you're picking Dyke
well.
still.
I'm going to pick him because he's had a really good couple of games in the absence of other players. I know he's not always their top performer, but I'm going to pick him, and he obviously got a goal as well in their last game. That's not just the reason, by the way. I think he had a fantastic game overall, but it's also because he's on their right up against our left. That's the main reason. And of course, you could argue the same with Burzor as well. But it's that side that I think is our bigger weakness. If we're saying Bell, let's say, plays, which he may well do, that's why it's the worry. There's plenty of others to go for, I'm sure. Your likes of Finn, Azaz and Conway, etc., which we know about and will terrify us all. But I'm gonna pick something different for that one based on our defensive capabilities or issues that side.
Yeah, that fair play. Look, I'd go with Finn Azaz purely for the fact that, well, Bergzog as well tore us apart, but Finn Azaz, we gave him the freedom of whatever the postcode in Middlesbrough is. He had so much time and space to pick out a pass, have a go, have a dig. Absolutely ridiculous. And 11 goals, 10 assists. No, 11 assists, 10 goals. He's a proper player, and Tommy Conway as well. If he breaks beyond, one thing no one likes is pace, and one thing our defense can't really cope with is pace. Hopefully, Makoso can sort of do a number on him
and Burke,
covering
both
runs.
of them a bit quicker, so that helps.
Yeah. But yeah, they got talent, and there's Hackney as well from the midfield as well. Driving.
All right,
runs.
Stop it. I was feeling positive. Stop it.
Okay. I'll stop now. Well, okay, let's go dig some positivity out now. It's time for score predictions. Positivity. Let's go for some positivity here. I've predicted a 1-0 win. I don't know why. Mainly because Boro's in a bad run of form. And I'm thinking, they don't travel well, do they? Their away form has really dropped off the face of a cliff. And I think away from home, only one win in their last 5. So I have some hope, I guess.
Yeah, it's fair. Although predicting us to win and keep a clean sheet is a brave double. But yeah, especially against Boro. I've gone for 2-1 because I predicted 2-1 last time and it came off. So I'm just going to keep predicting us to win 2-1 till it stops working. That's my logic. I also think Boro will probably score. I just can't see us keeping them out. They are still a good attacking team. They still got the likes of Morgan Whittaker to cause problems as well. I mean, again, we're trying to stay positive. But yeah, they've got that attacking threat. You're right, they're in indifferent form, but they have won the last 3 out of the last 5 games as well. So it's not like they're nosediving as they were prior to that. They were in really poor form, and there was talks of Carrick getting the boot before the end of the season. They've sort of mini recovered from that, haven't they? Look, we're in a good place mentally for the first time in a long time, and hopefully we can ride that wave, make enough changes to keep the squad fresh to see the game out. And I think the Kenny will be rocking as well for this one. We owe them one, let's be honest. For me, the Boro away leg was the worst performance of the season, and that is saying something this season, but it was utterly horrendous, as you said, allowing players to just basically have a training session against us. So, yeah, we really do owe them one. And I'm feeling very cautiously optimistic, but optimistic all the same. That's probably the kiss of death, isn't it? Sorry.
Look, if not now, when?
Well, quite.
We can't keep relying on teams to bail us out by losing, as shown by the last game week where all the teams around us decided to win, with the exception of Cardiff and Oxford. So we got to do this We got to take this in our own hands. And I agree with absolutely everything that you said. That Middlesbrough performance, go back and watch the post-match there. I think that I was probably the most angry I've been all season. I was, and I didn't know what to say. I was apoplectic.
I was calling for about half the team to never see a Luton shirt again, I think, after that game. Yeah. Including Mengi. And to be fair, that's pretty much come true, hasn't it? So, so there you go. But yeah, I think we were both furious. I think everyone was after that. That was, for most people, that had to be time. That had to be time for Rob Edwards. Even Rob Edwards thought that. But anyway, let's not go back over it. Yeah, he was. But we owe them one, and hopefully Bloomfield's got some confidence into them now with those 2 wins over the last 3 games.
Yeah, I know, that's massive. 2 wins in 3. But that is it for us this week. Get your score predictions in the comments. Let us know what you think. How's this game going to go? And, if you're not subscribed already, subscribe to the channel. Hit that button that says subscribe under the video you're watching. The big thumbs up symbol as well. And most importantly, come on, you Hatters.
Come on!